We have to have the text evidence. So I mark that. And I'm going to, because I have to have my evidence, gives accurate and thoughtful explanation. Gives accurate, thoughtful explanation. I also gave details and I gave math evidence. Here's my evidence right there. So all of this, I really mark up that text, but I have to understand this. Gives accurate, thoughtful explanation, evidence. I have math terms in here too. Hundreds. There's a math term, but I explained it. It's a smaller portion of the whole. Tenth is a fractional amount of a whole. 10/10 equals a whole, or flat. So what I want you to do now is to look at what did the 2 score? Looking at my rubric, what did the 2 miss? Would you figure out what it did not have when you compare it to a 3? And just write on your paper what it missed. What part did it not have? Do that right now. What did the 2 not have that the 3 had? Do that, please. What was it missing? What was it missing? The 2. What was it missing? This is the it's always 22. So 3 had reduction. What was it missing? What was it missing? Okay, could I have somebody from one of the other classes tell us what a 2 was missing from the 1? And then we'll jump to the next constructive response subject. So can somebody from Yarborough Brosners or Reiners tell us what the 2 was missing?
Eliana, do you want to share?
What was it missing?
Eliana is going to share.
Okay, so I have somebody from one of the other classes tell us what from the 1, and then we'll jump to the constructive response subject. So can somebody from Yarborough Brosners or Reiners tell us what the 2 was missing?
Yes, Eliana, do you want to tell everybody what is missing? Eliana, do you want to share?
Is missing a thoughtful explanation or reason that relates to the topic and gives specific details from the text source. Is not.
So can somebody from Yarborough Brosners or Reiners tell us what the 2 was missing?
Yes, Eliana, do you want to tell everybody what is missing? Eliana, do you want to share?
Is missing a thoughtful explanation or reason that relates to the topic and gives specific details from the text source.
Okay, just to let you know, this is Yarborough Brosner, we're just getting a repeat, so could you just share with me what they said?
Yes, Eliana.
It's still repeating.
Okay, we're still repeating, so Hannah, hold on a second. Okay, just to let you know, this is Yarborough Brosner, we're just getting a repeat. So,
Okay.
yeah. Are we muted on both and mine now?
I think I fixed it.
So now we'll go to Hannah.
Now I'll unmute Hannah.
So we're muting me now. Switch to you.
So that.
You can share the feedback because we didn't hear what she said.
Okay. Eliana, you want to come on up?
And you.
We had 2 windows. Okay, are you ready for Ms. Yarbrough-Brosner's response?
Yes, we are ready.
I can't see her.
That's all right.
Well, 2 is missing the gives a thoughtful explanation or reason that relates to the topic and gives specific details from the text or source. And it attempts to restate the question, but it doesn't restate the question.
You guys agree with that?
Missing the question.
Okay.
So, missing the question. Okay. Okay, so mute me and Hannah, and now go to.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute. You unmute me from that side? Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and broadcast what consists of a 3 for science. So if you'll go ahead and turn in your packet to the next page, it says Roman numeral 3, short constructed science response. Okay, so now you should be seeing an image. I'm not sure how great the image is, but we can clean that up later. We're on the second page for short constructed science response. Okay? Go ahead and put your finger on 3 in fall, please. 3 in fall. So in order to score a proficient response in the fall, you need to have an answer that might be similar to this one, to this question. The question is, what is one way that land is formed? One way that land is formed is by volcanic eruption. Magma squeezes its way up through cracks and plates that form the surface of the Earth. When the magma reaches the surface of the Earth, it is called lava. Locations where lava appears on the surface of the plates are called volcanoes. When the lava cools after it erupts from below the surface of the Earth, it forms rock. The rock that is left behind from volcanic eruptions forms new land surfaces. Wow, what a great proficient response. What were some of the things that you noticed would give this score, give this response a score of a 3? Go ahead and pal, pair, share, do that now. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. Okay. So, thank you. One person in this classroom highlighted is that they restated the question. Because one way that land is formed is by volcanic eruption, restates the question. So please go ahead and write down restates question. And I'm just going to abbreviate question with the symbol, which is a question mark. Okay? I know that those of you that are watching from the outside are looking at everything in like mirror form. Okay, so hang in there. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with that. Okay? So anyway, continuing on. Magma squeezes its way up through cracks in plates is an example of a specific detail. Please go ahead and highlight that spot in saying that it is a specific detail. When magma reaches the surface of the earth, it is called lava. That's also a specific detail. So that's why I'm highlighting it also. The same thing with when the lava cools after it erupts from below the surface of the earth, it forms rock. That is another specific detail. There are a lot of specific details in this response, and that's part of the reason why it scored a 3. The last sentence says, the rock that is left behind from volcanic eruptions forms new land surfaces. That is definitely another specific detail. So that's why I'm recording specific detail underneath. Okay? This seems to be a very thoughtful explanation. They went deeper than what I would expect a 5th grader to do at the very beginning of the year. Okay? The total answer is accurate. The whole thing is accurate. So that's the reason why each of these highlighted pieces add up to a score of being a 3, or proficient in the fall. So now we're going to go to the other end. We're going to go to a 1 in the fall. So the question is, what is one way that land is formed? And then Mr. Spratt writes, the stuff that is left behind from eruptions. Why isn't this a proficient response? I want you to look at your rubric, and I want you to list the reasons why on the paper underneath Mr. Spratt's response. You have 2 minutes to do that.
There was a question, he didn't get any information, he didn't say how he got it done.
Okay, welcome back. One of the students from my classroom is willing to show what he wrote down that explains why the stuff that is left behind from eruptions is a 1 in the fall. It scored a 1 for the response.
It does not restate the question, no details from the text or source, did not care, does not give feedback.
So, thumbstick, did this person focus on the rubric and why this response does not meet the 1? Thumbs up if you agree. Thumbs up or sideways if you're not sure. Thumbs down if you disagree. It's kind of this way in this classroom because there are sentences on here that come right from the rubric for a 1. But there's a part on here that says, did not care. Is that on the rubric? Thumbstick. Yes, it is. I'm not sure. No, it's not on the rubric. It's not on the rubric. So that is not one reason why that response scored a 1. But it does not restate the question. It does not have details from the text or source. Okay? So that is why this scored a 1 for the response. And then how you score a 3 for science. Now we're going to pass it along to Mrs. Yavro Rosner. Thank you very much for listening.
I don't know what that sound is.
You're all with that.
Okay. All we all set?
Yep. Okay, I think we're done.
Okay, so boys and girls, we are going to talk about a social studies short constructed response for right now. And it's mirrored, I apologize. Okay. So for social studies, one question that we answered last week for a short constructed response was, why were the differences in colonial regions important? Okay, and an exemplar response, so one that scored a 3, sounded like this. The differences in colonial regions are important because people moved to the regions depending on their differences. For example, if you were a Quaker, you would have moved to Pennsylvania so that you could practice your religion freely. If you liked warmer weather and mild winters, you would have moved to Georgia. The differences were important because each colony offered different things. Why is this a 3? I'm noticing that the question was restated right away. So the difference in colonial regions are important because. Holly, what are you noticing?
That it also gave specific details from the text or source.
I love that. So let's highlight what the specific details were. We have because people moved to regions depending on their differences. Quaker. And then we're going to mark the text. So we have, I use RSQ for restates question. Like Holly said, specific details. What else? Mary Jane?
There was an accurate response.
An accurate response. Any other thing that you are observing, Clay?
That there was it kind of restated restated the answer at the end.
It did kind of restate the answer at the end, or the restated the question at the end, kind of tie it all together. Alrighty, for the 2 response, I'm hoping that nobody gets a 1. And I don't think anybody did when I gave out this question, because the answer wasn't accurate. But for the 2, it says, there were many differences in the colonies. Some colonies were better for farming than others, and some colonies offered different jobs. Some colonies had slaves, and some didn't. I want you right now to turn and talk, and I want you to mark up the number 2. Why is this a 2?
It doesn't restate the question. It attempts to restate the question.
It doesn't have an accurate response.
It does have an accurate. It has an accurate response,
but it doesn't have specific. Right. It doesn't have specific details why they moved.
Yeah.
Why, how.
I'm not happy with my. It says there were many differences. Yeah. Did not restate the question. I like that. Because,
Okay, boys and girls. I have somebody from my class who wants to share why they think this is a 2.
I think that this is a 2 because, like, well, it's not exactly 1. Well, it attempts to restate the question, but it, like, doesn't really. And, it doesn't give specific examples from the text.
Does anybody want to add on to that? Alina?
They say some too much.
They're saying that it's too repetitive because it says some.
Yeah, it's like some.
So, thumb state in my class, how do you feel about a score of a 3, 2, 1? Are you clear on what that looks like for social studies, science, and math?
Miss Abraham,
Okay, Mr. Reiner, Mrs. Almer's class, are you guys getting thumb states up for 3, 2, 1?
We are at a thumb state of up.
Oh, that's good. So I'm hoping that we'll only see 3s.
Can you go back to class?